To me, pain is the purest form of authenticity. When crafting art, relatively speaking in my own experience, creating or manufacturing something that is upbeat and #happy is a hell of a lot easier than creating something from a place of pain and sorrow. It takes a hell of a lot more emotional labor to construct something that is from a genuine place of nuanced pain. That's why, in my opinion, I believe many of the pain featured in mainstream comic book blockbusters don't elicit any real emotional punch, especially in the case of character deaths, mostly just eliciting audience shock rather than actual audience pain. There is a weird thing I've developed when consuming art. Call it the numbing of emotions after consuming so much, or just having a very sensitive detection in identifying what emotion went into a person's art. I personally just think I have a very high emotional tolerance when it comes towards consuming any sort of art. I don't know what is wrong with me, maybe I'm just hollow and dead inside, and that's why I'm really good at distinguishing between fantasy and reality. In my experience, when consuming something, it has to be really emotionally taxing to actually get to me. For me, someone who watches like 2 new movies every week, plays 100 hours of video games and reads a shit ton, not to mention all the YouTube I watch and all the other stuff I love consuming, in my 18 years of existence on this planet, I've only cried 3 times when consuming a piece of entertainment. Once while rewatching Wolf Children, once at the very end of Nier Automata, and once halfway through Oliver Thorne's Cosmonaut metaphor. Great stuff, mate. You inspire me, Ollie. Sometimes it's really funny having really high emotional tolerance when it comes to art. I remember one time I binged Evangelion with a mate, and by episode 7 she was in tears and needed a quick break, while me, on the other hand, I was completely okay and just eating my Weet-Bix while casually watching these kids get traumatized. Sorry, anyway, what I'm getting at here is pain, minor or major, it sucks, but in some rare cases it can be a great vehicle in crafting art that capitalizes and transforms those thoughts and feelings into something positive and beautiful that can elicit a evocative reaction from people. Jesus Christ, I sounded so pretentious. Fuck me, God. Sometimes I hear myself talk and I'm like, who the fuck is this dickhead? Something I really detest in the current modern political climate is how people use their own or each other's pain to minimize the suffering of people they don't like. So that's what I'm trying to get at with this whole video. This video is about pain and sadness and all the accompanying factors that comes with that sort of stuff. I want to get sad. Let's all get sad. Everybody, for the next couple of minutes, get in touch with your inner sad boy and your inner doomer, if you guys get the reference. Let me tell you about some sad Boi Doomer Entertainment. I have gotta come up with better names for this shit, like seriously.
Fragile smile lingered in my heart. I'd say sorry tomorrow. Yeah. How could I have known?
Anohana is a story about coming to terms with the loss of a loved one. It follows this group of former childhood friends who are currently in the middle of their adolescence but are still dealing with the trauma of their childhood. The inciting incident, which is the catalyst for the whole series, was the death of their childhood friend Menma. The cast I mentioned previously is a group of 6 childhood friends: Tsuruko, Yusuke, Anaru, Poppo, and Jinta. They have drifted apart after their friend Menma dies in an accident. 10 years after that incident, the leader of their group, Jinta, has become withdrawn from society and lives as a hermit. One summer day, a ghost of an older looking Menma appears before him and asks him to grant a wish for her, reasoning that she cannot pass into the afterlife until it is fulfilled. Since Menma does not remember what her wish is, Jinta gathers his estranged friends together once again, believing that they are the key to resolving this problem. However, hidden feelings, internal conflicts, and the lingering feelings of bitterness from Menma's parents result in complications for the group as they struggle to help not only Menma to move on, but for themselves as well. Right off the bat, I gotta commend the show for having so much heart. This premise is very compelling. For subject matter such as child death and trauma, the show has some great moments of levity and warmth to it. Not to mention its cast with its wide variety. Almost anyone who's been a teenager or a kid could relate to one of these guys. The music is also just on another level. I think the song Secret Base by Zone is entrenched into my soul permanently. Furthermore, it's got an absolutely beautiful art style with all the characters drawn in a serene beauty. They all look gorgeous, but not too gorgeous to a point where you couldn't picture them or relate to them as real people. I could really relate to Jinto's quiet moments where they depict him as a hermit loser. As someone who spent some time as a hermit in and after high school, I can relate a lot. Also, I could really relate to Yukiatsu. Not the whole cross-dressing part of his character arc, you know, nothing wrong with that. It's, not for me, but, you know. Yukiatsu has a level of self-aggrandizing narcissism about him. He's a guy that's constantly overcompensating for his insecurities and lack of personality. Working really hard and being the best, but still being jealous of his peers. I now know what that's like. He has a lot of subtle character mannerisms which are quite similar to my own. If you're like me and you're a masochist who loves getting their heart destroyed, I can't recommend this enough. It really goes deep. Hopefully once you hear those ending notes, you'll be in tears. Seeing how far these kids have come and seeing how much they had to endure is really heartwarming. One tiny piece of criticism though, here's a super nitpicky pedantic thing. Their group is called the Chohewa Busters, which loosely translates to English to mean the Super Peace Busters. I don't really understand why these kids want to break peace and bust peace. I don't really get that. That's a bit weird. Anyway, it's on Netflix, so get on it. The Perks of Being a Wallflower is about a little cuck who has no friends and is completely hopeless with femoids. I mean, if you've seen the movie, that's a pretty accurate description. The Perks of Being a Wallflower is an American coming-of-age film directed by Stefan Chbosky. At this point, if you have a stupid name, I'm not even going to try anymore. The film stars Logan Lerman, Emma Leviosa Watson, Ezra Miller, and Ant-Man. Socially awkward teen Charlie is a wallflower. Okay, so yeah, I don't really get it. It's an edgy boy, hipster lingo trash, don't even answer it, whatever, it's dumb and pretentious, it's good though. He's watching life from the sidelines until two charismatic students become his emotional mentors. Free-spirited Sam, played by Emma Watson, she's so pretty, and her stepbrother Patrick, played by Ezra Miller. They help Charlie discover the joys of friendship, first love, music, and more, while his teacher Ant-Man cultivates Charlie's dreams of becoming a writer. However, as his new friends prepare to leave for college, Charlie's inner sadness, jealousy of his peers, mental health problems, and horrible teenage horniness threaten to shatter his life and relationships. The film's melancholical, slow burn is something I absolutely love. The film drifts slowly from scene to scene with Charlie's slow shift in character. I am neither gay or suffer from the mental illness that is shown in this film, but from what I've read up on, the movie does a fantastic job in characterizing both of these different experiences in great detail and authenticity. Ezra Miller's depiction of same-sex sexuality is very humanizing and eye-opening. The same can be said about Logan Lerman's display of pain and dealing with loneliness because of poor mental health issues. With that said, my favorite part of this film is Emma Watson's character Sam. I gotta say, I love Emma Watson. I grew up with her, well, not literally, but I grew up with her, seeing her grow in the Harry Potter films, and oh, she's so pretty. She's real great quality feminist waifu material. I recommend listening to her speeches at the UN. The way she talks about gratitude and women's rights improvements, it just warms my heart. Hey, okay, right, so this is me, off script, from the future. Okay, yep, Pixel Hipster from the future here. I just found out Emma Watson is a terf, so... God, why? Why can't I have nice things? Ah! Yeah, so Emma Watson's a turf. Fucking fuck me, I guess. Emma Watson and her character of Sam seem to just be an all-around quality woman. If you're a teenager or have been one, I can't recommend this film enough. I know its core message of finding people you love and getting friends is a great one. And and everyone should know that. Friends are good, you know? Friends make your life... Friends make your life. That was grammar. Celeste is a platforming video game by Canadian video game developer Matt Torson and Noel Berry. The game was originally created as a prototype in a 4-day game jam. It was later expanded into the full release that we know today. Celeste is a platform game in which the player controls a girl named Madeline. One day, out of the blue, she drives to a summit of a mountain and makes it her goal to climb to the top. As she makes her way up the mountain, she avoids various deadly obstacles. Along with jumping, climbing up walls for a limited amount of time, Madeline has the ability to perform a mid-air dash in 8 directions. What I'm saying here is, the gameplay is solid. There are many obstacles, making it harder to progress as the player goes through each level. When I first played Celeste, I had no idea what I was getting into. I had seen some cool clips online of platforming gameplay, but apart from that, I knew absolutely nothing surrounding the game. For all I knew when I bought this game on Switch, I thought I was getting a Metrovania game like Hollow Knight. That is not what I got. Also, you guys should play Hollow Knight, it's really good. Anyway, I'm just gonna bite the bullet here and outright say it because of the, what's this video about? Let's talk about the big D in the room. Not my big dick energy, let's talk about depression. Celeste is about depression and mental health. It's a game about pain and dealing with that said pain. The poignant visual metaphor of climbing that mountain. The act of climbing is a clever metaphorical depiction of depression that works in tandem with the gameplay mechanics, constantly trying again and again. Getting up and climbing that mountain, dying repeatedly and continually trying. The mechanics allow the respawning of Madeline, bringing her back instantly giving the opportunity of trying again, constantly trying to get to that summit, get up that mountain, climbing out of your depression. It's a brilliant example of tying gameplay mechanics to the narrative and the theme. It's not exactly Shakespeare, but I really like it. On the whole, I really like this game. I would say I love this game. I really love the first melee half of this game. I love Madeline as a character. She's a lot like me in the sense that she's an asshole. She means well, but she's an asshole. I really like the character Theo. He's a guy who's also climbing the mountain who befriends Madeline. Theo, much like me, is a hipster. Look at this beautiful, bearded, sexy, selfie loving boy. Like I mentioned previously, the first half of this game is very laid back. It's mostly consists of light platforming and different variations thrown up, spice up the gameplay. In this part of the game, we are introduced to an interesting byproduct of the mountain's strange power. A negative reflection of Madeline. A physical manifestation of all of her repulsive, malicious traits. It's a very relatable mindset. At one point in our lives or another, we just don't want to look in the mirror because we're repulsed at what stares back at us. I often look at myself and see a lot of characteristics that are detrimental to my life, and I want to change that. I'm a big self-improvement guy, if you haven't picked up on that already. Celeste is very good at understanding and depicting the mind of a person who deeply struggles with their mental health. So enough beating around the bush here. I'm going to talk about key narrative beats that deals with that sort of stuff and how it relates back to me. I'm going to try and be vague and light on spoilers. I truly believe Celeste is a special game that everyone should check out, but I can't go any further without spoilers, and I recommend you should go into this game blind. In the latter half of the game, after going through hyperventilating panic attacks and some serious danger, Theo and Madeline have a moment of ease. They finally get to sit back and just talk. After going through something really emotionally draining and intense, it's not just for the characters but for me as well. The relatability of some of the stuff that had come up to that point was quite emotionally taxing. I'm really impressed how this simple looking pixel art platformer handled something like stress sleeping and panic attacks. Great writing on the part of Matt Torson, who really brought and flushed out these characters. This type of emotional storytelling really stuck with me. I will always remember distinctly how this game really grasped my attention when Madeline sprung up from her nightmare, and when Madeline started to hyperventilate on the gondola. These moments really changed my perspective of it being just another collectible platformer to something really emotionally compelling. It's cause I also suffer a lot with insomnia and sleep paralysis, and a lot of the moments I saw that occurred in Celeste were almost identical to my own experience. To be frank and honest, insomnia sucks. Essentially, insomnia for me is struggling a lot with the ability to sleep. Not to say I don't feel tired or sleepy, insomnia for me has the capacity of just leaving me in a constant state of exhaustion. At the worst times, I only got 2 hours of sleep a night. It's a mixture of just laying there and drowning in the thoughts of your own inadequacy. Being conscious but trying to breathe properly. It's alright currently, I've got ways to regulate it, much like how Theo taught Madeline and Celeste the breathing technique of visualizing a feather. I do have a very similar breathing strategy to keep my mind at ease and help me fall asleep. It's weirdly captivating seeing something I struggle with almost daily displayed in a video game. I thought this was going to be as far as they would go, but man, I was really wrong. It was Theo and Madeline's moment of ease and the subsequent scene that really took this game from good to great. In this moment, Madeline just unloads her pain onto someone else. It was therapeutic just being able to see Madeline vent to Theo, delving into the nuances of her depression and why she came to Celeste Mountain to begin with. I feel Madeline summed it up best near the end of the conversation when she said, "It feels good to finally talk about it." I gotta admit, as cliche as that sounds, that's really good advice. Minor or major, it doesn't matter what scale of it. The pain you're feeling, you gotta express it and talk about it in some way. It's the most recommended and most reiterated advice for a reason, because it's the most helpful and honest. After the scene, it gets more real. Madeline flies towards the summit, full of vigor and hope after the conversation with Theo. She faces her reflection and says how she's going to let her go. When I first saw this ending, I was like, ew, I don't think, that's, when I first saw this ending, I was like, ew, that's not how depression works. I don't think that's how it works. I was rolling my eyes, but to my shock, Madeline's reflection berates her, yelling at her, calling her out on the narcissism of such a statement. You can't just put all the blame on your reflection and your depression and just throw it under the rug. I thought that was brilliant. It's an important message that I think everyone should hear. It's honest. It's genuine. It's so truly authentic. It's from a real place of pain that I think Matt must have got somewhere inside of himself. It reminded me of something that someone said to me that really got to me. This game spoke to me and took me back to a very vulnerable place in my life. This game took me back to 2018 when I was in therapy, and my therapist told me something very poignant. She said, "Zach, depression or wanting to kill yourself or whatever you want to call it, it's like this book. Right now, it's in your face and it's all you can see. But over time, it's going to look like this. You're never truly going to get rid of something like that. That's not how it works. That feeling will always be there in your life, but it will fade and it will get smaller. And after a while, you'll know how to deal with it, and you'll barely notice it. You gotta express it somehow. You're not broken. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay not to be okay sometimes. That was a bad time in my life, and I don't really want to talk about it. Maybe another day when I have the courage. Maybe another day when I have the courage, I might make a video about it, and yeah. But now is not the time. I'm okay now, if you're wondering. What I'm trying to get at here is, I haven't been talking about how I feel lately, because, you know, my god, I hate this word, but you know, my toxic masculinity, ooh, scary word. Ooh, you know, men don't cry. It's pain that defines the masculine. we fight bears and we eat the steak and we don't talk about our feelings. I don't know. So, in a weird way, this video is so in a weird way, this is my way of talking about how I feel currently. And yeah, that's why I'm making this video. And I love this game. So I recommend anyone, even if I have like spoiled most of the good parts, there's still a lot more in there. You should please play Celeste. It's really surprisingly therapeutic. Play it and hopefully you will take the same message away from it that I did. Or maybe you'll take a different message away. Who knows? But that's the beauty about art, isn't it? It's subjective. I took away the message about talking about your pain and it felt good. And hopefully it'll feel good for you. Life sucks. Life is unfair. Life is a clusterfuck, but that is what makes it great. On this channel, I've reached a point where I have a small amount of people who care about what I make, and I'm like super grateful for all you guys. But it's weird sometimes. I have people now who give me money for this. I mean, I don't get it, but thank you. I really need the money right now. I know. I'm really happy that you do. And yeah, it blows my mind that anyone would pay me to make this, whatever I'm making. What I'm saying is I have this sense of responsibility now to put as much effort as I can into a video. Really make the best I can for you guys. To make a labor of love. To not let my Patreon people down. Because I don't want to waste their money. And yeah, it's not a lot of money, but it's still their money, and I don't want to waste their time or cash or anything they do, and I'm very grateful. In my experience, you gotta have a certain amount of narcissism to be a YouTuber, to have that drive to get views and be famous. You know, I want that. I want to succeed, I want to do good and be heard, all that stuff. So it was pretty weird when my YouTube-ness led me to be jealous. And yes, I know a lot of this is going to sound very petty. Seeing my peers do better than me in the YouTube analytics, I would think to myself, why wasn't I getting this attention? I work 10 times harder than everyone else. I make better content. This jealousy made me sad. And I know the answer is why, and I know it's really shitty of me and really petty to think this way, and I should be happy that my peers are succeeding. Yeah, they make great stuff, and they're great people who do great stuff and have a lot to say. And yes, I know it's bad to think that I'm better because I have a certain level of what I make. But I know it's cause I make weird, obscure videos about topics no one cares about. Chads and rice whores and what have you. I know if I chased trends and I uploaded daily or weekly and gave controversial hot takes, I would do better and grow faster, and it's on me. But sometimes this YouTube stuff makes me sad. You know, seeing and reading all this fucked up shit that is going on, I just think to myself, why can't we just hold hands and sing Kumbaya? I love that word, Kumbaya. Being on the internet makes me sad sometimes. And so, yeah, coming full circle, that's why I love these pieces of art. Because it reminds me I'm not the only one who feels like this sometimes. I do now sometimes get jealous. I was never a jealous person until I started this channel. I do sometimes not want to get out of bed, and sometimes I just can't let the past go. So that's why I know it's important for people to consume and make art that deals with this sort of subject matter, because it reminds us it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay sometimes, and you have to know the lowest of the lows to really appreciate the highs. So, okay, thank you for sitting through my sad ramble. Please like, subscribe, share the video, boost my YouTube analytics, and it's so weird to say this unironically. Follow me on Twitter for updates at pixel_hipster. I post memes and a whole bunch of short videos that I just can't add into videos and whatever. Anyway, I've got to first shout out my $10 a month people. I love you guys so much, and that is a shit ton of money. Well, relatively speaking, for me, it's a lot of money, and I really appreciate you guys. So this is thank you to my Patreon therapy squad. Thank you to Barely Contained, Good Bloke, Deus Ex Caffeiner, Great Whammon, and Michael Grimm's Good Boy. Yes. Anyway, thank you to all my other patrons. Love you guys so much. Thank you to all the beautiful people on Patreon. If you want to see your names next to all these good boys and women, go support me there. It's patreon.com/pixel_hipster. You guys have my highest praise and most grateful thanks. So much love and good vibes.